Hello and welcome to Lone Star Silver Screen, a podcast about everything that exists at the intersection of Texas and the movies. I'm your host, Austin Zook, and on today's episode, we are talking film festivals, specifically the OK2BX Film Festival that will be taking place this year for its fifth outing. I'm joined today by Brent and Chris Bolding, who are operating the festival. Brent, Chris, thank you for joining me today.
You bet. Glad to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Well, let's start off by just talking a little bit about what this festival is. Can you tell me how this started originally and what made you decide you wanted to begin this project?
Sure. Yeah, we started the OK2BX Film Fest back in 2021 after the unfortunate loss of our daughter, Eleanor. We lost her to suicide. She was 17 years old. And to get through this devastating loss, we wanted to find a way to carry on and honor who she was. And who she was just, a bright and vibrant kid who really loved film. During COVID, on Friday nights, she would gather her friends virtually and they would have Nick Cage movie nights where I think we're going in alphabetical order to watch all the Nick Cage movies. And then they would have, fun and discussion after that. And so that became a thing. She also started a film club at her school, which was a fairly new high school here in Dallas. It was in its second year, so didn't have a lot of enrichment activities. They started a film club. And she had a plan to go to film school. So this is really our way of kind of carrying on her legacy. She was also incredibly kind, always wanted to involve people in discussions, talk about opposing views. And so this film is a great way to bring voices to the table. And we feel like the film festival really helps the youth do that.
That's amazing. Now, whenever you decided that you wanted to do this to honor her memory, did you have experience putting on festivals or running operations like this, or was it totally new to you?
It's totally new. I had retired from a career in marketing, so I'd had a little bit of event planning, but running a film festival was a whole different animal. James Faust over at the Dallas International Film Festival was gracious enough to spend about, an hour sort of walking me through it. And, I was furiously scribbling notes on the side of the road out in Abilene, Texas, as James was telling me what all I need to go do. So kind of got the basis from that and then put it all together. We put the first one together and had it at the Texas Theater. We live over here in Oak Cliff, right down the street from the Texas Theater. And I'm a big JFK assassination buff, so it just made sense to start it there. And so we were able to put it on there that first year. So it turned out great. We had a whole lot of friends and family that sort of raised their hands, said, if you're doing something, we want to help. And so we gathered them all together. And it's a little bit like Mickey Rooney putting together a show in the barn, but not completely.
Now, when it came to actually programming the festival, what were you doing to get films to show?
We were very lucky. One of our other children went to Booker T here in Dallas. And I think that was a nice place to start. We had a lot of art students that we could kind of get the message out to. But I think then Brent did a really great job of expanding on that and reaching out further and has continued to do that as we've grown.
Yeah, we built databases of high school, kind of literally going back and walking through and calling high schools saying, hey, who's your film teacher? And, get their name and email address and send it to them and say, we'd appreciate it. Go come send your films to us. And, we've done a lot of work with the UIL, the Texas UIL program that has the competition there. So Paula down at the state level has been very kind about helping us, get in front of all of their people. So it's been great there. And so we've been trying to do things like this. We got to be on television. We're seeing, the Dallas Voice has been very good at covering what we're doing as well. So in the LGBTQ community. So it's been great.
So I know this is the fifth year, which is kind of a landmark year for any event. It's half a decade strong. How has OK2BX changed over the past 5 years?
Oh, that's a great question. It's funny. If you had asked us when we started what we were doing, we would have told you that we were holding art events that helped bring marginalized voices to the table across any type of art. And so when we started, we were running something called the OK2BX Festival, where we brought in performers across many different marginalized groups, and we had a full day festival where we had in 2 stages. It was a lot of work. It was successful, but not necessarily growing. I think COVID put a kind of a restricted a lot of people's getting out. Public events weren't as popular. And so we were really struggling on, is this the right thing to do? We were doing the film festival as well. And so that is a huge part of how we evolved. We kind of shut that part down and said, we want to do something really well. And we felt like film was really the one thing that honored Eleanor. And so, yeah, we've pared down and made our focus primarily the film festival, which has made us, I think, much more successful, being good at one thing and not trying to do too many things in her honor.
Yeah, I think the expansion, of looking at it now, I don't know who I expected to be here, but it's grown beyond that. We're still right in right in the middle of our submission period now, and I've already got films in from 10 other countries from the US. So we've landed on a big international component to this that I wouldn't have ever expected. I'm really good friends with this professor this teacher at the English school in Kuala Lumpur, and he sends a big batch of films over every year. So got 10, when we've already got films in from 10 different states all around. It's not just, and a big quantity from Texas as well. So we expected it there.
Whenever you're looking at films, what are you looking for a movie that's going to fit at OK2BX?
We do a number of things is that we get enough films in so we don't ask our judges to look at every one, but we go through a screening process and so we get enough people looking at these films to say, all right, does this make sense to you? Are they telling a story? Is there a good voice there? We first started, we had very narrow categories that we were doing, and it kind of tended to limit us. We took away those native categories and said, send us everything everything you're working on now, and we'll figure out how to honor the ones in the specific categories we want to. Because we wanted to highlight kindness, wanted to highlight inclusivity. We wanted to highlight people who've done things on a smartphone and highlight people who've done things in animation. We've got a category that highlights LGBTQ films. I think we're the only festival that has an awards category specifically for that. And then also our family gets together and does one that highlights the spirit of Eleanor, sort of quirkiness. And so her quirky sense of humor that kind of looked at things in a little bit different manner and showed it there. So I think what we're looking for is good storytelling. That's what shows up for that. We want to highlight these other areas, but at least, good storytelling and good, it's kind of evident that some of them have a lot better equipment than other guys do, but the stories are still the same. So stories are the important part there.
Is it at the Texas Theater again this year? And what is the date for 2026?
We've moved it over to the Angelica Film Center for a couple of reasons, and it is on April the 11th.
Okay.
We moved it over there for a couple of reasons. We have partnered with SMU to put on a college fair and workshops. And so it makes sense to get us all sort of geographically pulled together over there.
Can you talk to me a little bit more about the college fair and the workshops?
Yeah, we piloted this year. So to try to see if it was something that would work is that we reached out to area colleges and says, bring your college programs here to talk to our students. We knew we were bringing in high school filmmakers and that they were going to be making decisions about where they went to college. And we're positioned in the spring where juniors can begin to think about where they want to go and who they want to target. So we asked colleges to come show up and come talk to our students about what they're doing there. And we also, along with that, we put on workshops. So we have people talking about how you get your film into film festivals. How do you get into a college film program? How do you make an independent film? How do you budget for a major film? And so those are the workshops that we have on there to sort of aid the students in their journeys as filmmakers going along.
The workshops were great too. I think it was great to have different experts talk to the students about the different areas they might be interested in. But I really love bringing the kids together and having them talk to each other and just They came from all across Dallas, different schools, different backgrounds, and having them kind of collaborate on the things they were doing and what they were interested in and sparking conversation amongst themselves was really fun to watch. And then watching them, of course, go around to the film departments at each of the college tables and kind of getting to dig in a little bit about some programs that they might not even have known existed. They hear about the big ones, the NYUs and the USCs, but they don't necessarily know about some of these potentially smaller programs or programs that might be more local. And so I love that too.
What about just the actual screenings? What's the response been like from students who get to show their films as part of this festival?
Oh, that's got to be one of the coolest things you get to see. Whenever those guys see their film up on a big screen for the first time, most of these guys have been sitting there editing it or cutting it on either their phone or their PC. So it's something, in their bedroom late at night where they've been working on. To see it all up there particularly when they're seeing it with their friends and buddies are all there, it's pretty memorable. So that's a very cool portion of it.
And we treat them like celebrities too. We have a step and repeat when they come in. They get their picture taken.
The red carpet, yeah.
And they got a red carpet afterwards. They can come and we give them an award. The winners get an Ellie award for Eleanor. It's a little camel because she loved camels. And at the end, a lot of times they'll come back to the step and repeat and get to take a picture of themselves with the Ellie award. So we make it really special for them and, make them feel like they're really part of something big. It's super cute to see the reaction.
That is awesome. Have you ever had any returning filmmakers who've submitted multiple years?
Yeah, a couple of them. It's sort of interesting to watch the guys we've got a couple of people who won one year and didn't win the next year because they saw the competition's just been getting a little bit better and better each year. As we get more films in, we've been growing every year. And as we get more films in, the competition gets just a little bit better. We like to hear that. So.
I know this year you said you've had kind of an influx of international films. I mean, does that make it feel different? I mean, do you feel like you're looking at a different quality of film whenever you're pulling things from all around the world?
It is just a different perspective.
Yeah.
First year we had one international film, and it was someone from Norway, and I think it was just her friend screaming for 10 minutes. And it has definitely improved over that coming in there, but it is, it's a whole different perspective that you get coming in there. I'm blown away by just the sheer quality of film programs from the stuff around the country. I mean, they're doing amazing work. We've had one of the judges talk about they said they'd sign up because I asked them to. They were a good friend, but I don't think they were looking forward to watching high school films. And and after they saw them, they were kind of impressed by the talent we were uncovering out here. It really is the future of film. I'm anxious to see where they're going.
Yeah, I would have to say that the first couple of years were almost cringeworthy, but we have evolved. In year 5, I expect us to be top notch. The quality just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because right now we've had a couple of the winners from like the first year came back and sent us videos on what big part of our film festival meant to them and coming in there. So that's fun. And just now that the guys who won the first year will just be graduating this year from college. So they're fixing to just sort of walk out there in the world, and we'll see how they do.
That's cool. Now, I know originally you said that it was the two of you and you had some people who kind of stepped in to assist with starting the festival the first year. What's the team look like today?
It's interesting. All our kids have always been a big part of it there. And also that got a son that lives in Chicago and a daughter in Nashville, and they both come in and help us put it on there. But we've got, we sort of this is the first year we sort of really expanded it to committees ahead of time. And that we're beginning to look at, let's divide up what it took to run the film festival. Now, in our belt, we can kind of say, okay, this is an anomaly. These are the things that happen from year to year. We began to put those together, divided those up into committees, and began to get people working on them. And so it's not just, those, me scrambling around the kitchen table at the last minute doing it all. We got some people putting it together and help.
Well, and I think from a continuity and sustainability perspective, now we've got people who know what this means. If, someone, we need to hand it off to someone to carry it on down the road. We always will have Carson and Spencer, our kids, involved, and kind of, behind the scenes at a minimum. But it's nice to have other people involved who can take it forward. And we'd love to get to the point at some point where maybe we hire somebody and this becomes, a job for someone to take on the festival every year. And we are kind of the guiding light behind it. But we have somebody really, in charge and taking it forward.
Well, let's stick with that for a second. You made it to year 5, which is a huge accomplishment. Where do you want to be in year 10? I mean, what do you think the next step is for the festival between now and having someone run this, as their job?
We look at growth. I mean, Texas and Dallas in particular has a ton of film festivals, so there's a community here, and I think we occupy a very specific niche. We're sort of the real minor leagues and sort of looking at how we get students involved. We're the first steps in this process. I think there's a lot of room for us to grow and be sort of that kicking off spot. Our position in the middle of the country, I think, really helps us out. They've got big film festivals back in New York that go for the high school, and there's some activity back on the West Coast. Doesn't seem to be as much for high schools, but I think that's an important part for us to play, is to be that, to be the film festival for high schoolers, at least to be one of the major ones on that.
In the Southwest. Yeah, I mean, for me, we are doing all the things we're doing. I feel like we're doing really well. We're just doing them on a really small scale. And to me, that just, says opportunity. If we could have workshops during the day that were multiple tracks where the kids could pick and choose different things based on what they're interested in. If we had the film festival running in multiple theaters, on the evening where they could pick and choose which direction they wanted to go. I think just expanding and getting to a point where we might be considered, at a minimum, the youth film festival and youth film support event for the Southwest that to me feels like a good 5-year goal.
Yeah. Early on, we had a film professor from USC, and I was sort of talking to them about, hey, we'd love for y'all to come down here and, go see our festival and kind of help pitch people. And they says, and they were pretty honest about it. Somebody says, you have to get to sort of more of a reputation for us to be able to come and do this. It says, quite honestly, we get more films than we'll ever even be able to see. So for us to kind of get on our radar, you've got to sort of step up your game there. So that was sort of motivation there enough to keep after it.
So would you say that's the biggest challenge that you have these days, is just trying to get the name recognition into new markets?
I think so. I think once people find us, I feel like, as Brent said, we have people who submitted films multiple years in a row. Again, we just piloted this workshop idea last year, but I feel like those kids will go back to their film clubs in their schools and talk about how great it was. And I think, building that is a real opportunity as well. And I think it will just continue to grow.
So this year, about how many films are you expecting to have as part of the festival?
Because of the time requirements, hate for anybody to sit there for, we don't want, 10 kid, 4-hour film thing like that. So we show about 20 to 25 films on that. So it makes for a program of about, 2 to 3 hours with all the awards and all of the films there, which I think feels pretty realistic to ask of people there.
Awesome. And now if somebody wants to attend, do they just need to go to the festival website, or do they buy tickets through the Angelica website? What's that process look like?
We've got it both. We've got it a couple of different ways. You can buy tickets the day of the show and just show up, and we love it there. But we also sell tickets on our website. You can go out to OK2BX.org, and there's tickets. The tickets aren't on sale yet, but they will be, in the next couple of months. We'll come on there. We'll make some announcements around that. But you can buy the tickets ahead of time.
And now if
you want to attend a workshop, we encourage them to go to the website as well and sign up for the workshop so that we know kind of what to expect. And that's all free. The workshops are free to the kids. So that's a great opportunity as well. We just kind of like to know who's coming.
Yeah, we buy the kids lunch. So they come over there and get a free lunch. They get so they can come grab the lunch and come stay. So don't miss any of the seminars there.
Now, do you guys have any social media presence? Like, is there an Instagram page people should follow if they want to keep up with everything going on with the festival?
Yeah, the best one is OK2BX. It's our Instagram handle, and it's also OK2BX Film. We use both of those. We've got Facebook presence. We do a little on Twitter, but it's mainly Instagram and Facebook there.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else that you think I should know about the festival and what you guys are doing this year that we didn't already touch on?
Well, if you are interested and you want to see our past winners, you can go to our YouTube channel and see some of the previous.
Yeah, you can see
years past.
it's kind of fun because we make these guys a deal, says we're going to submit all of them. And so anybody who submits a film, whether they were selected for the festival or not, is out there on our webpage. So there's, now we're getting into, there's hundreds of films out there for people to see. So you can see whether our judges knew what they were doing or not. When they submit, one of the ways it's anybody who submits to it, we use the Film Freeway platform. Most any film teachers can help them, but anybody who wants to submit, they don't have to go through their film teacher, can go out to the Film Freeway /OK2BX Film Festival and find us there.
And is there a submission fee?
The film now today is like their first deadline is $10 today. I think it goes up to $12 for the next month.
Okay. All right. Anything else we need to hit on?
Not that we think that we'd love for everybody to come out and bring their friends and see some great films, see the future of film today.
Well, I hope so. I want to thank you both for taking the time to join me on the show today. I think this is a really incredible thing you've done, not only in honoring Eleanor's memory, but also giving high school students, high school artists a chance to show their work and share it with the world. I think that's just incredible. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the festival grows over the next couple of years.
Thanks. Well, thanks for the opportunity. Glad to talk with you.
That was my episode with the founders of the OK2BX Film Festival. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and if you did, please remember to rate, review, and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. If you look in the show notes, you'll be able to find links to their social media profiles and their website, where you can go to keep up with all of the announcements as they gear up for their 5th festival this year. I'll be back next week with another episode interviewing filmmaker Josh David Jordan about the release of his new film, El Tanto por Cristo, which just recently screened at the Kennedy Center in New York. Until then, I'll see you at the movies and on the dusty trails of Texas. Bye.